and left this meeting. DK Gupta, okay, sir.
Yeah.
Respected and revered Shri D.K. Gupta ji, Director Finance, Delhi State Industry and Infrastructure Development Corporation Limited, Board members of IGDTW Anveshan Foundation, Professor Arun Sharma, Professor Ranu Gadi, Professor Jasdeep Kaur Dhanwa, and Professor Manoj Soni, my dear friends and CEOs of leading incubation center, Shri Ashish Jain, Dr. Bhupesh Sharma, Rahul and Dinesh Pandey, Shri Girish Kumar ji and Shadab, faculty members from different colleges and universities, mentors and other facilitators of the ecosystem, entrepreneur, students, scholars, a very good afternoon to all of you. Namaskar. At the outset, on behalf of IGDTW Anveshan Foundation, I, Dr. V.K. Arora, extends a warm welcome to each one of you to this incubators meet and panel discussion on Startup India Seed Fund Scheme and the sustainability of the incubators, which we are going to organize in association with GIZ India. Thanks to the team GIZ. I am sure you all must be knowing about our university and the incubation center, Indira Gandhi Delhi Technical University for Women, that is IGDTW in short, is a Delhi state government university which runs UG, PG and doctorate program in engineering and technology, management, computer applications and architecture. In the year 2016, the university had incorporated an incubation center called Anveshan Foundation. Anveshan facilitates all the amenities which are required and expected from any state-of-art incubation center. We are one of the incubation centers out of 11 funded by Delhi government. With the blessings of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Amita Dev Ma'am, now Anveshan has become a Department of Science and Technology supported technical business incubator under the scheme Nidhi, that is National Initiative for Development and enhancing innovation with a fund of rupees 4.5 crores for the next 5 years. Being a women university, Anveshan is and will be committed to cater women entrepreneurs and women enterprises in future too. Presently, we have more than 300 girls in our e-cell and pre-incubation. Our 12 incubatees are associated with us, out of whom 10 are incubatees with investment. Anveshan has signed various fruitful MOUs to extend different level of incubation support at pre-incubation, incubation, acceleration, and post-incubation level, and also even virtual incubation from well-known corporate and international organizations. Last month only, Anveshan has signed 8 new MOUs with private universities and institutes all over the country to facilitate its knowledge towards establishment of incubation-related activities in their universities and institutions. We are going to conduct the first event in that particular line on 27th of next month. Ladies and gentlemen, on 15th August 2015, as part of the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi's Independence Day speech from the Red Fort, a new vision for the Indian economy was announced, a vision that aimed to tap the entrepreneurial potential of the people of India, a vision that enabled the talent of India to dream of ideas, put them into action, and convert them into game-changing ventures. We remember in 5 months' time, putting words into action on 16th January 2016, Department for Promotion of Industries and Internal Trade, Ministry of Corporate and Industry, Government of India, launched the Startup India program with a stated objective to build a strong ecosystem for nurturing innovation and startups in the country that would drive sustainable economic growth and generate large-scale employment opportunities. Major steps taken so far under the scheme Startup India are compliance regime based on self-certification, relaxed norms of public procurement for startups, launch of Atal Innovation Mission with self-employment and talent utilization, that is SETU program, harnessing private sector expertise for incubators, setup and building innovation centers at national institutes, provision of funding support through a fund of funds with a corpus of 10,000 crore rupees, credit guarantee schemes for startups, tax exemption on capital gain, tax exemption to startups for 3 years, and the most important, faster exit for startups. We all have witnessed the scheme has proved to be a catalyst of change in the ecosystem. The ease of doing business index for India has made a significant leap from 130 in the year 2016 to 63 in last year, that is 2020, and a fact remaining 3,000 startups in 2014 has total now crossed more than 50,000 mark, making India the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. Despite the policy facilitation from DST, DBT, and NITI Aayog, the fact is that the mortality rate of the startup is also very high in India. If we try to understand the fact behind, we find that getting funds at appropriate time is an issue with many of the potential startups, especially at early stage, along with robust helping hands from the incubation centers. A new scheme of central government called as Startup India Seed Fund Scheme has been launched on 19th April 2021 in a step to fill this particular gap. Another corpus of rupees 945 crore is kept for early stage startups, which has to be dispersed to approximately 3,600 startups through 300 incubators all over India. A grant of up to rupees 5 crore will be allocated to selected incubators in 3 or more tranches. This fund is to be given to the sector agnostic startups as grant against convertible debentures and or debt linked investment to conduct proof of concept, commercialization, and scaling up the business. There is also a provision of 5% management fee to the incubator towards physical infrastructure, supporting proof of concept, testing, and validation of ideas, mentorship support throughout the incubation period in all the functional areas, providing investors network and extend support for virtual incubation. Year-round call for application will start from 1st July 2021. Now, to provide such support, we need to push incubation centers also. In India, there are basically two types of incubators, public and private. Definitely, now onwards, we are seeing in the environment that many of the incubators are shifting from public to public come private incubators. Incubators with support from any scheme of center or state government get grant for a specific period, generally ranging from 3 to 5 years. What after that is the question mark for the sustainability of these incubation centers. These are the two topics of panel discussion for today's event. We have our special guest and a panel of expert CEOs from the leading incubation centers of Delhi NCR. It is a proud moment for us that Shri Devendra Kumar Gupta, Director Finance, DSIIDC, is with us today. Gupta ji is a postgraduate in management from Kurukshetra University. He has served with DDA, that is Delhi Development Authority, as Director Housing, Divisional Joint Director Treasuries, Gwalior and Chambal Division, Joint Commissioner with Government of Madhya Pradesh, and presently working with DSIIDC. Sir, we all are thankful to you and DSIIDC for extending your support to all the Delhi Incubation Center. We are eager to listen to your wise words. Shri D.K. Gupta ji.
Thank you, Dr. V.K. Arora ji, CEO Anveshan Foundation, directors, CEOs, and representatives of incubation centers, promoters of startups, entrepreneurs, students, and other participants. First of all, thanks for inviting me in this event. It is my pleasure to be here and interacting with all of you virtually. Presently, we are passing through a very tough time due to second wave of corona. This time, situation is even worse than the previous year. Even during this pandemic crisis, Government of India has remained committed to support startup and their enablers. This is because of the fact that the government is positive about the startup ecosystem and trust our youth startups and incubators. The topic of the panel discussion today are very much required. They are Startup India Seed Fund Scheme and sustainability of the incubators, especially Delhi-based incubation centers. We all know that today there is influx of startups in our country, and Delhi is a special state where there are maximum number of startups. Most of these startups are initiated by the youth of Union Territory of Delhi. Further, many of them have been started within the universities and institutes. With the huge influx of such startups, we need a robust startup ecosystem to cater their needs. Our aim should not be on our aim should not only be to have the highest number of starters, but also to convert maximum number of them as a successful ventures. We all know that many of our startups fall at an early stage due to the lack of clarity, vision, and funds. Newly launched scheme of Government of India, that is Startup India Seed Fund Scheme, is about to cater the same segment. This scheme was launched by Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, Shri Piyush Goyal, this week only on Monday. Earlier, it was announced by Honorable Prime Minister of India in the month of January 2021. Under this scheme, a fund of rupees 945 crores is expected to benefit 3,600 startups at an early stage to boost the startup ecosystem. This fund has to be routed through eligible incubators over a period of 4 years from 2021 to 2025. Presently, there are 11 incubation centers which are supported by the government of NCT of Delhi. I have suggested all the incubation centers to apply for the scheme so that maximum number of Delhi startups may be benefit during the period of the scheme. Our incubation centers should be ready to take up this challenge. The success of Startup India Seed Fund Scheme depends on facilitating maximum benefits of the scheme to the startups. I also urge to all the representatives to take maximum benefit of this unique scheme. Although many of the incubation centers are funded either by the state government or central government, incubation center must also plan their sustainability on their own. The funds provided through government schemes are not only limited to a particular amount, but also to a limited period, generally for a period of 5 years or so. Later, incubation centers need to plan for their own resources and self-reliance. For all this, we need to brainstorm, that is, how to maintain our self-reliance through different models. I am sure that after detailed deliberations, we will reach to some conclusion about the sustainability of our incubation centers with the little support from the government side. With proper utilization of resources, both incubators and startups will be able to serve better, and our dependency on the other countries will decrease. Our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji's slogan, Vocal for Local, is to create more local brands and take them to the global arena. He has also urged at times to the people to come forward in creating self-reliance, that is Atmanirbhar Bharat, by supporting local businesses. The rise of Swadeshi movement in India is not to boycott any other country's products or services, but actually to have a startup ecosystem similar to China. The idea behind the concept is to believe in domestic production and domestic consumption so that there is very little reliance on imported products. In Delhi startup ecosystem, DSIRDC, that is Delhi State Industrial and Infrastructure Development Corporation, Government of NCT of Delhi is playing an important role. Startup policy for Delhi is under consideration by the Delhi government. We are constantly in touch with the Invest India, Government of India. With these words, my best message to all of you: we need to do well for the society, create a conducive environment for budding entrepreneurs and upcoming startups. Incubation centers are required to work hard to make the startup successful. Government of NCT of Delhi is committed to support all of you by all means. With this, I thank all of you. And now over to Dr. Arora. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Gupta ji. Thank you for your words and for your motivational session. It was very much required at this particular time. We know that support is always there from DSIIDC and Government of Delhi. Thanks a lot, sir. Now it is time for me to introduce all of you with the panel today. We are having Dr. Girish Gupta with us. Dr. Girish Kumar with us. Dr. Girish Kumar is working as Chief Executive Officer with DTU Incubation Center, that is DTU IIF. We are also having Ashish Jain with us. Ashish Jain is CEO at JSS Incubation Center. We are having Shadab Momin with us. He is Chief Executive Officer of the Incubation Center of ANDC, that is ANDC InStart. We are having Rahul Pandey with us. He is working as Chief Operating Officer with Ambedkar University Incubation Center, ACIIE. And we are having Dr. Bhupesh Sharma. He is working as a CEO of SRI TBI. So welcome all of you. At this particular COVID time, I welcome you all, and I'm also thankful to the participants who have actually given time in attending this particular session. So let's start now. First question I will be asking from Dr. Girish Kumar ji. Dr. Girish Kumar ji, you are heading the incubation center of DTU, that is Delhi Technical University. I just want to ask from your point of view that what do you think that how important is this that students should be incentivized through some seed fund to ask them or to motivate them towards a startup? Girish Kumar ji?
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Respected Sri D.K. Gupta ji, Director DSIIDC, special guest of the program. Respected board members of IGDTU, DTW Innovation Foundation. My co-panelist of this discussion, Dr. V.K. Arora, CEO IGDTW Innovation Foundation, and moderator of this discussion, faculty members, and dear participants. First of all, let me thank the organizers, Dr. Arora and his team, who have invited me to this panel discussion. Now, coming to the question, how important is the seed fund for the students of university or a college to motivate towards startup? Let me first introduce the concept of seed funding to appreciate its importance. Seed funding can be easily understood by using an analogy of plants. A seed needs proper environment in terms of temperature, water, soil to grow it into a complete healthy plant. In the same way, a startup requires various resources, including finance, to be able to grow to its full potential. So the process of raising funds for a business in its initial stage is known as the seed fundraising. The money raised through seed fundraising is usually a smaller amount when compared to the funds when these are raised in the future stages. For example, let us suppose one have developed some application or some prototype. Now he or she has to transform this application or prototype into a profit-making venture. So then one need to work on it. They need to pay the employee's salary. They need to pay for the infrastructure. They need to pay for the other operating expenses. And all this when your business have not started making money and you need to do all sort of these expenses. That is where the seed fund requirement is felt. Usually the seed funding is a type of equity-based financing, and investors commit their capital in exchange of some equity interest in a company. Seed funding is crucial for all early stage startups, regardless of the manner, regardless of the fundraising. The timing and the manner of the seed fund is very important, and it determines the long-term survival of any startup. One of the biggest challenges in convincing the investor to put up money in the startup are just at the idea stage. When you have not proven your idea and the angel investors or the venture capitalists are not ready to fund you. Similarly, the bank and other financial institutions provide you the finance or loan when you can produce your asset guarantee. Under these circumstances, when investors are not ready to fund, banks are not willing to finance, you do not have any sufficient backup from your families or from your friends. As a university or college student, you have a dream to launch a startup. Seed funding proves to be a very important for the startup, as it provides you with funds even before your venture has started earning. It provides you with working capital to smoothly run your day-to-day business. And along with that, it makes scaling up your business a lot easier. In all, it takes care of your cost right from the marketing, hiring to the development. Undoubtedly, seed fundraising is one of the most important process for laying a strong foundation for a startup. And the government's current scheme, the Startup India Fund scheme, is a very good opportunity for those who are looking for seed funding. Over to Dr.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Right, sir. Your insights regarding the seed fund, definitely seed fund is the requirement, a very important requirement for all the students, especially those who are attending universities and colleges, because they are with limited fund, and the fund which we get from their family, maybe in the form of pocket money or maybe in the form of starting any business, that is very limited. Yes, sir. Thanks, sir, for your views. Now, coming to you, Shadab. Shadab, you understand the scheme well. In the inauguration, you might have seen that it was said that it's okay to fail for the promoters of the startups. What are your views that how do you take up that it's actually okay to fail, and if we will move with this particular way, then what would be the success of this particular scheme?
No, from the from the standpoints of these startups, I would not want to make a comment whether it's okay to fail or not. What is significant is that at a policy level, at a policy in black and white, the policy makers are now saying and giving us the backing that you need to be very proactive, choosing these startups without the baggage, without the burden of being all the time anxious about what happens if it fails. Now, it is very significant from the policy standpoint. That's my view on this, because all along everyone knew, anyone who has dealt with startups or entrepreneurs globally understands that this is something, like you mentioned in your introductory remarks, that the startups per se has a very high mortality, right? Everyone appreciates that. Anyone who has dealt with startup ecosystem, how startups operate, how entrepreneurs operate, they understand this. But this was never articulated in the manner it has been done in this document, which is very significant, and it is a welcome move.
Yes, yes. But then to Shadaf, I'm asking you that what kind of validation that can be put in this particular scheme?
So the validation, I don't want to be somebody preaching to the Pope, right? You all know this, because what happens is when we are evaluating startups, we have seen startups with great idea, right? And yet there is something which becomes a decider whether we want to go ahead with that particular startup or not, and that is the execution. And that execution is entirely dependent on the team. There are certain intangibles, right? When you are evaluating, and this for some reason it cannot be tabulated. A matrix cannot be made, and that is the reason why experts are there to sit in the evaluation committee and decide whether to choose with one startup or the other. And so,
right.
Of course, the validation is there. You are going to evaluate whether the problem is worth solving and the solution is actually the right fit. But at the end of the day, all these things are just speculations from the entrepreneur, and it is all about execution in the team, right? So if the panel is able to understand the seriousness, the passion, and the commitment of the team, rest of the other things will fall in place.
Right, Shadab. Ashish, coming to you, as the scheme is limited for early stage startups, may be incorporated within 2 years. Do you think that some of the startups which have incorporated before that will be coming with a new company, importing, now incorporating in this year or maybe next year?
That can always happen. First of all, thank you, Vijay, for inviting me over here. It's a very interesting panel, very experienced panel. And thank you, all the participants who are listening to us. The question which you have posed is whether startups who have already got a startup which is 2 years old or more will just set up a new company because they want to avail of the benefits from this scheme. I think this is unlikely. There may be exceptions, but when I say exception, probably 10% of such companies may incorporate another company. But there are ways and means by which these can be assessed and identified. If somebody already has a company, that means he's a director already. That means there is a DIN number. That means this person, the existing person, is starting a new company just to avail the benefits of this scheme, would get noticed, would be identified, and then the criteria of 10 lakh rupees worth of investment raised in the previous company would also kick in, because he has to ultimately cumulatively from both the companies need to ascertain and needs to get a verification done that he has not raised more than 10 lakh rupees from any which way. So that would be identified. But most people are honest. Honest. They want support in terms of financial support, which is not available easily. This is a collateral-free financial support. Moreover, there are two components. One is for product development, prototype development, and that is a very welcome thing because this is not a investment. That means the startup is not giving away any equity into the company to the incubator or to the government. It is a grant. That means it is coming free. In case their idea is promising, they get the money, and which will welcome a lot of people who have been just sitting on the edge, not coming into the arena of starting their own venture because they don't have money but have good ideas. So that is a very welcome step. But second aspect is which I also have been listening to Shadab. I think there's one inconsistency in the policy, which I think over a period of time will get sorted out. Shadab did mention that government is facilitating fail fast and failure is okay. That's fine. But when we are saying that if there is a debt component, if somebody fails, what will happen to the debt? Because generally debt comes with personal guarantee, and if somebody is failing, then personal guarantee kicks in, and that is something which needs to be addressed.
Right. But Ashish, then to up to 20 lakhs to conduct POC prototyping as a grant, and up to 50 lakhs rupees for commercialization, that will be coming in the form of debenture or debt linked. So how much impact do you think that it will be there? Yeah, Ashish, are you there?
Product or valid and viable product, efficient money. It is not necessarily a based product. It will be a hard. Generally, the gestation period is high, and the involvement of money is much more. So it is good enough money for hardware startups too. In fact, India is gearing up for hardware startups, where IoT-based startups and physical product-based startups and design thinking-based startups are coming. I think this is going to trigger that much lot of creativity from agriculture, from a new economy, from new emerging sunrise industries like clean energy, smart cities. Lot of things are going to come. Second component is debt, and that is debt is 50 lakh rupees for debt is sufficient. Of course, as a seed money, it is sufficient. Currently, we get 30 lakh rupees, and 50 lakh rupees up to 50 lakh rupees is also welcome step. Important thing is this is meant for growth stage companies. Growth stage companies are generally the ones who resort to debt. I would not advise those who are into the early stage companies to go for debt, because servicing debt even if it is at the repo rate or lower than the repo rate, is going to be very, very difficult for early stage companies. So those who have already established their marketplace, the product is already accepted by the customers, they are paid customers, then only somebody should go for the debt component of the scheme.
Yeah, thanks, Ashish. And with the same question, I would like to come to you, Dr. Bhupesh Ji. Dr. Bhupesh Ji, 20% of total grant as a grant to the startups, else either as convertible debentures or debt-linked investment. How much lucrative it is basically for the startups? Yeah, Bhupesh Ji.
Yeah. Sorry, my throat is not allowing me too much because I am suffering right now from COVID-19.
Oh, sorry, sir. Yeah.
No, but still I am trying to defend myself. Generally, in this ecosystems, startup ecosystems, innovators always believe that, or they didn't want to share their equity, or they do not want to involve in an equity. But when they receive as a seed fund for POC, for any sort of market feedback samples, then they can take their money or as a convertible ventures. That is the best option for startups or innovators. But when there are different types of startups also there. One are mature startups, those who can convert their idea into the realty and product are really marketable. For them, the seed fund scheme is very good. I think it will create sustainability to incubator also.
Right.
So this is how I think this is a very seed fund scheme is a very good scheme, and it will in both way, as well as innovator as well as incubator also. They will sustain both, and they will sustain, and this ecosystem will flourish further.
Right, sir. Right, sir. So before we move forward, I just want to request our participants, if they have any question, please feel free to write your question in the chat box. We will definitely take up those questions. And if I can request all the panelists and participants to kindly switch on their camera so that we can have a group photograph right now. I request all the panelists and attendees to kindly switch on their camera. Rahul, Sachdeva, are you there? Rahul, are you there? Arun sir, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm there.
Sir, can you take one picture, please?
Done, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So, continuing with our discussion, Shadab, I am coming to you. Shadab, as there is a provision of not charging any amount from the startups, and 5% of the seed fund grant is to be provided to the incubators as management fee. Say if 5 crore is allocated, only 25 lakh rupees maximum is coming to the incubators. Do you think that it is the enough amount for any incubator for the complete holistic development, especially at the time when they are not getting fund from any other source?
Yeah, so perhaps there was some disconnect when this was being drafted by the Niti Aayog. Some lack of information flowing from the state government as to how the disbursement have been happening. Honestly, this entire scheme has been designed with the intent of identifying good performing incubators who have their rest of the other financial hygiene in place, right? So they don't have to worry about the salaries, they don't have to worry about their other administrative expenses, and they are doing fine. The only thing is that this is going to give a fillip to the corpus that is available to them. So for example, when we were getting funds from DTT, the whatever amount we were getting, we were utilizing a part towards the administrative and other expenses, and whatever was left was being disbursed to the incubators. Now, once the disbursement will come from this scheme, we will actually become the conduit for this fund flow to the incubators, and for that they have given a management fee. So normally in a structure of a fund, for example, a venture capital fund or an angel fund. So generally this is the model, right? So you have number of people who pool in money. They are called the financial partners, and you have the GPs who manage the fund. And for managing the fund, they get a 2%. So the rule is a 220 rule. So 2% is the administrative expenses that they can charge on the total corpus that they are handling. So a 100 crore corpus handling fund will be charging 2 crore as the administrative expense, and they also get 20% as an equity into the entire investment that goes. Unfortunately, this part has been left out. Perhaps during the discussion it will come out, because we were talking about sustainability also. So to answer your question, this might not be enough if it is coming to an incubator where the financial hygiene is not well maintained, in the sense that their administrative expenses is not being taken care of by other sources or other avenues, right? But if it is coming to an incubator where everything is absolutely smooth, this is going to be a huge add-on to their ability to invest and support the incubators.
Right, Shadab, right. Bhupesh, you are a DST funded TBI. So if this chance is given to you, I just want to understand from you that in what kind of which heads we should utilize this particular management fee in the best way.
Seed fund scheme, seed fund.
Yes, yes, sir. Yeah, seed fund, sir.
Since incubators should run in a model where they should, whatever sir say, they should at least earn their administrative expenses. Then only they can sustain. So since last 1 decade, we are able to sustain only based on our services. Whatever services we are providing, if we are able to get more and more funds from the DST, that will add on. But you cannot sustain without your own services. If you are able to take charges against your own services, then only you can sustain in a longer run. Otherwise, there are different types of schemes. Each schemes have their limitations, or time bonded schemes is there. When that period expire, then sustainability always remain on the stake.
Right, sir.
So I think we have to define a strategy, or so that your administrative expenses or your utility charges should be borne by the incubator. Then only something will come out in a impactable manner.
Right. One of our attendees, Meena Mishra, is asking a question that for startups, it is generally said that debt is better than seed funding. Is this entirely true? Ashish, you have already given this particular answer, but I again want to come to you that this question that Ms. Mishra is asking, that what is better, seed fund against equity or seed fund against a grant, maybe in the way of the grant, or equity linked or debt linked, or only the debt that is better?
I'll explain. I did mention our early stages. I is vintages even debt obligation, servicing their debt obligation, and they is full intention service their debt obligation still there, and it's not a what is you early stage you have expenses and for demand. I don't know expenses and signs you over, and the revenue which you estimated will start from certain amount, certain period of time, like money, because either you have estimated revenue incoming, either or the revenue,
Right.
and then in that case, you need to repivot many times. So you are unable to service your debt, and debt generally comes with the personal guarantee of the founder. And if he is unable to pay, there's a lot of stress on the founder. And this stress can be done away with by sharing a part of the equity and making them co-owner. That way, there is no servicing obligation. You are paying you're giving the equity, but equity has no value till the time you make it big. If the company is not able to do anything, even if you have 100% of zero value is zero, might as well,
Right.
in case you give it to it, but they in your reasoning, that is always an option, in my opinion.
Right, Ashish. Shadab, yeah, Shadab.
Yeah, just to add on to what Ashish ji has said is absolutely correct. I mean, debt at early stage is a very risky affair. It binds the startup big time. But specific to this scheme, Ashish ji mentioned that has some certain reservations with that. This scheme specifically is not putting that pressure on the entrepreneur, because it specifically says that there is no requirement of a personal guarantee. So in fact, I'll just read it out. A moratorium of up to 12 months may be provided for the startups. Because of the early stage of the startups, this shall be unsecured and no guarantee from the promoter or any third party will be required. So this scheme actually is taking care of that stress that comes along with the debt. But otherwise, debt is a strict no-no for a early stage startup, as Ashish ji just mentioned.
Right. And Shadab, this Tanishka Goyal is asking one question, that what if our venture fails in the early stage?
It's okay to fail. So it's okay to fail. But if the question is with respect to the legalities of it, okay, this scheme is giving that leverage to the startup, that fine, we are not putting you under the dock, we are not putting you under the personal guarantee burden, or any third party or any collateral. So to that extent, it is relatively much easier, okay, on the startup. But any failure will have certain consequences along with certain benefits. And the biggest benefit, and I would want to highlight very specifically, again, this is a great articulation in a policy document where it says that for failed ventures, I mean, I found this very interesting and I'm reading it out for you. The 8.8 says that startup shall submit final report and audited utilization certificate at the end of the project duration. For failed ventures, the entrepreneur will share his/her learnings and the reason for failure in the report and submit this along with the utilization certificate. This is significant, right? Because what it essentially is saying, that each failure is a great learning also, right? Now, this realization for the policymaker and it passing on to the entrepreneur is significant. And all the other legalities which will happen, there will be certain charges on you, might be some debt, some burdens so far other than the lending that is done through a debenture. You might have taken certain services you might not be able to pay. There might be certain obligations on that. So those things will have to be handled the way a normal business handles these things. But so far as this initial capital is concerned, that burden has been taken away from the startup.
Right. Ashish, if I can come with a last question in this particular topic, that how do you think, what is the future of this scheme?
See, beauty is the very early stage, ideation stage companies funding, because generally anybody who provides funding, either it is incubator, accelerator, or angel investor, generally does not fund those without any minimum viable product. Now, this is coming even prior to that. So it is a bridge program from ideation to MVP. There are many investors available from MVP onwards, but this is earlier than that, and this is a great initiative. Even a lot of innovation can spur in colleges, because this scheme, even Anveshan can support, would be in a position to support colleges like everybody. Some tinkle in idea in their brain and some willingness to do something, they can be easily funded. I think this is a beautiful conceptualization of very early stage, which is ideation stage funding, which generally has not been happening in India, but has been very widespread, prevalent in US market and Israel market. Now it has come to India. I think it is a welcome step. The part which needs to be mature, yet to mature, is the debt part. I am not fully in consonance with what the debt scheme is. The component which is a debt component has been mentioned there. Shadab did mention about the scheme, which I did not read as much, that there is no personal guarantee. Thank you, Shadab, for that clarification. That is a good perspective from the innovator as well as from the incubator side. But I'm sure government is government. Any policies which have been created, they can also be misused. And as soon as it starts getting misused, because there is no personal guarantee, and if somebody fails, there would be many more startups which will likely to get failed or willingly failing, then there would be question marks and there would be some restrictions and some new policies would be reinforced. So this needs to be matured. I think there's not much thought gone into that right now. Vijay, you are on mute. Yeah.
Yeah, Bhupesh, one question is there. The person who is asking is Mr. Hassan. Mr. Hassan is asking that can a conventional business idea be counted as innovative and startup if the idea has the potential and very limited companies, players are operating in that space?
It is for me.
Yes.
Yeah, can you repeat again? I could not hear.
Yes, sir. Actually, Hassan is asking a question that can a conventional business idea be counted as a startup if the idea is having potential and very limited companies and players are operating in that particular space?
Okay. How somebody can say, yes, it is a viable product? At idea stage, at initial stage, every innovator feel my idea is wonderful and it will run. It depends upon when somebody are able to make POC or make MVP, and then only somebody can say, yes, things can convert or things can run in the market. So it depends situation to situation.
But then too, if you have registered with D3 IT number as an incubator, we are not having any limited, any foundation on you. So now coming to the second topic, that is sustainability about the incubators.
Vijay,
Now,
can
yeah,
I
Ashish.
add to this question? What
Yes, yes,
Hassan
please,
has
please.
asked?
Yeah, please,
Yeah,
Ashish.
so he has asked a question where innovative and startup idea is new. This particular scheme, which is Startup India Fund scheme, did mention that you have to use technology for your creation. So if the product is with technology, and if there are not too many players and you are using technology for your innovative product, it can be considered as a startup.
Right, right. Now for the second topic, I'm coming to you, Ashish. Ashish, you are having your oldest incubation center. So what are you doing? What are your views about a self-sustaining incubation center?
Vijay, it is even if we are old, we know it is not easy. Incubator generally are designed in such a manner that they are not meant for businesses. Businesses means they don't create immeasurable amount of money. It is not a business activity. It is a business support activity, and that's why incubators had always a mindset that we need to support somebody. Meanwhile, money will come in the form of grants from government and various other sources, and that would be the sustainable model. And that's been the thinking all this while. But of course, government has been supporting. We exist since 2004, so government has been supporting various incubators, including ours. And after 5 years, government ceased to support. That means we have to fend for ourselves, and we did do well in the past, also doing pretty good even in the COVID time.
Right,
So,
Ashish.
uh, if the gist of the matter is, any incubator needs to think incubator as a business instead of business support. It needs to think it as a business. Of course, you have to be very compassionate towards founders. You have to support them, and once you start thinking of it as a business, you will think of what value add you can provide, for which startup founder will be readily able to pay you, and that magic will work, because in case you are creating value, you will get money for the value, and for which you have to create additional services just as an extension. I've been an entrepreneur for 10 long years also. I ran a software company. So I know as an entrepreneur, also as an executive in MNC, from both sides, it makes sense in case we can run this as a business, which means in case I just think in terms of extended arm of a founder. What does he do? Can I aid him in getting new customers? And in case I am able to get him new customers, he doesn't mind paying me out of the business which he gets. And that's a very beautiful model. Certain incubators are already doing this. We have also started doing it since last about 2 years. They have been innumerable amount of success. It gives a lot of money. The only thing is, the lead time is big. It doesn't fructify in less than 2 years. And but in case we can give market access to the startups, it is big money. Of course, the services like lawyer services, chartered accountant services, generally we have seen startup founders don't want those services because they generally have सस्ता टिकाऊ काम कहीं से करा लेंगे, जुगाड़ करा लेंगे. So generally they don't want to pay very heavy charges for such services. But of course, in case we can add connections, we can give them business, we can get them investments. Those are the services for which anybody is ready to pay, and those are probably the sustainable measures for an incubator too.
Partnership in revenue. Means all the CEOs have to work as an entrepreneur.
See, there are models. So models are 8% of the revenue, and there are revenue you generate, you connect with the corporate, where you feel that there is a potential of this startup services to be sold. And because of your credibility, because of the incubator's credibility or in CEO's connection, there is a window which the founder gets. He is, if able to convince there's better matchmaking, and you get some revenue out of the revenue which startup founders get. Startup founder doesn't mind it, because that revenue would have never come to him had we not connected him. And in case incubator is getting some revenue out of that, it's good. It's a win-win.
Right, Ashish. So now for the next question, I am coming to you, Dr. Girish Kumar ji. Girish Kumar ji, you are also associated as a faculty member with DTU. In your views, what should be done from the university or college side to help incubators in the long run?
Thank you, Raghaji. This is very pertinent question, as most of the incubators in India are still in evolving stage, and they have not grown to the extent of self-reliance. They have not gathered enough support or international linkage in terms of partnership, which is essential during the early years of their operation. As we know, the public business incubators are non-profit organizations, and hence they normally get incubated financially through government agencies and receive some amount of standard fees from the incubators. But this is not sufficient for their financial sustainability. Let me elaborate some of the challenges incubators are facing and how the university can help them. Number one, usually the incubators have insufficient space, infrastructure, and its maintenance issues. Due to the limited infrastructure, they face problems in running their operations, and sometimes they do not qualify for some of the funding schemes because of the less space they have. For example, this Nidhi scheme requires 20,000 square feet area. This Niti Aayog program, Atal Incubation Center, they require 10,000 square feet of area. So because of this space limitation, they do not qualify even for the application. So university can support by creating the facility and its maintenance. They can extend support for expenses on electricity, Wi-Fi, water, housekeeping, security, etc., to promote the innovation and entrepreneurial activity as they support the other academic department. They should also feel that this is their entity. And second challenge is the lack of sponsorship and the venture capital. And most of the incubators do not have enough sponsorship. University can help them in sponsorship through their alumni network, connecting to the industry through their training and placement cells. Recently, 2 of our alumni have extended a support of about 1.4 crore to our startups. And I was told, one of my colleague who is ex-IIM Lucknow faculty, that IIM Lucknow at one time, they were flooded with the offers of alumni to invest in their startups. But the university has to restrict the equity up to 8% to safeguard the interest of startups.
Right.
So if we are able to tap that alumni network or the industry network through university channels, then that will be a big help to the incubators. And the third challenge is the limited production space or the advanced technological facilities for prototype developing and their testing. In this front also, university can extend the access of in-house facilities such as laboratories, their fabrication workshops, their testing laboratories for research and development and prototyping testing. For this purpose, incubator can formulate the standard operating procedure in consultation with the academic departments, because they are also occupied for their regular classes, so they can mutually decide the timings and the other part for utilization of their facilities.
Right, Girish, right.
So let me just one
yes,
or two. So next challenge I can find the incubators are facing the necessary skills to help the development of startups. Such most of the management staffs in the business incubation center may not have. Most of you people are from the industry, I suppose, but I am from the academia, so I do not have the skill set. Okay, so that skill set in the entrepreneurial this presently lacks in many incubators, and university can provide a human resource for training, for mentoring on these skill sets, maybe entrepreneurial skill set, technical skill set, financial or managerial skill sets. And one more challenge I can see that there is a high cost of the share services. Incubators sometimes pay high fees to employ the various services like accounting, IPR, or legal. And most of the university, they have impanel these services for their purpose. In the IPR cell, they have the IPR cell, they have impaneled IPR council, and for accounting also they have some council on their panel. And the same support can be extended to incubators also, and on that subsidized rate or whatever you negotiated rates, then it will be really helpful for the incubators. And one last point I want to make: incubators can request the university, citing the National Innovation and Startup Policy guidelines, that universities should spend about 1% of their budget, annual budget, to promote this innovation and entrepreneurial activities, and they may seek support citing that guideline. So that is the request only. The university cannot be forced to spend 1% of their budget to incubators, but you can definitely request based on these guidelines.
Very
Thank
good
you.
suggestion, sir. Very good suggestion, sir. Yeah. Shadab, I am coming to you with the same question which I asked from Ashish actually. What kind of small process innovation we can do within the premises of our incubation center to make some revenue, because that is the main question for the survival of incubation centers in the longer run.
Yeah, so I think it has been well covered by Ashish ji already. Just wanted to add certain services, apart from what services we can offer to the captive audience, namely the incubatees that we have, the CXO services like what Ashish ji mentioned. This facility can be extended to outsiders also, the larger SME and the startup environment who might not be your incubatees. They also lack in certain areas. I mean, there could be a great SME who don't have the necessary wherewithals for a great marketing initiative, and they have all the necessary ingredients to make it big. So that special CMO services can be extended to them and fee be charged. It could be a standard fee, it could be a revenue linked fee, like alluded to by Ashish ji. One very interesting element that can be added, because of all the necessary ingredients already with the incubator, that you have all the support services, you have the legal partnerships in place, you have the accounting partnerships in place. Some incubators have done this. The incubator can become a soft landing partners for companies trying to get a foothold into Indian market. Right? A lot of incubators abroad are doing exactly the same, that they are inviting companies for abroad, and they are facilitating all the necessary. So all the compliances with respect to the incorporation, the FDI flow, and all these things can be done by the incubator because of the necessary partnerships that you already have in place, and your partners would love to get associated. On the demand side, any company which is coming from anywhere who don't have a foothold in your geography will feel more comfortable dealing with an incubator, because you being an incubator, especially a government incubator, will give you that credibility which will give the customer, the clients, the necessary confidence to deal with you. So that is one innovation I had been thinking and perhaps would be implementing soon.
Yeah. Now coming to Bhupesh ji. Bhupesh ji, what are your suggestions to the government for sustainability of the incubators?
Type of scheme should continue, not for life.
But government says that they are not having
Totally
enough
agree
funds.
with Bhupesh ji.
But government says that they are not having enough fund.
But to maintain or create more and more innovations, acceleration, always there is a need to link faculties and the innovators. Faculty should be a part of the startup team, then success can be more and more viable form. That is also a most important issue. Sometimes startups are not able to visualize the real market points. When the real masters know how the things can be run in the market and who is going to collapse you and what is the real competitions in the market. So startups should take care of these things to maintain sustainability of incubators. I think most important things, incubators should value their services. If they are not valuing their services, then schemes will come and schemes will end also. So if they are able to assess their value and take charges for their value, not as a rental. Rental is a separate thing. When they really take charges for against the science and technology related services, support services, POC services, market services, or corporate link services also. When corporate house realize that yes, there is an incubator who is really validated their product, tested according to national or international protocol, so things can move. This is how something can visualize the sustainability for incubator.
Right. Ashish, so what is your final note pertaining to the sustainability of the incubators in today's time?
I like Shadab's suggestion. It can be consulting for companies coming into India, launching launching their products in India. There can be some research activity which can be done on their behalf. That's a very good suggestion, Shadab. And there are various things being done. So state governments, partnership with state government, corporate CSR money into incubators, setting up labs for corporates for benefit of startups alongside creation of products which ultimately will be helping the same corporate who serviced or who permitted CSR money to be channeled is another avenue. Some incubators are already doing this. That's also another win-win situation. The only thing is Indians corporates generally are not so forthcoming. They are not yet bought in the innovation bandwagon, unlike foreign subsidiary of foreign companies in India, who are more aggressive and more participative in the innovation ecosystem of India. But probably they are underestimating the potential which is already existing in Indian space. In case corporate starts participating with startup, first of all, they would not be outlived. That means their products would still be much more competitive in the marketplace because they are innovating in the space, cannibalizing their existing product line and coming up with new product lines instead of somebody else coming and cannibalizing their products. So this is something which, if they understand sooner, the better. American companies always are doing that. We have seen big failures in not noticing such trends like Nokia, Kodak, and many other examples. So corporates is another big area of tapping the funds for incubators as well as for innovators.
Right.
Another stream is training, which is capacity building. So high-end training, low-end training, awareness training, government-aided training, all these trainings for entrepreneurship, for capacity and skill development is another revenue stream for incubators. Everybody probably have been doing it. This is also a very good stream for generation of revenue.
Right, Ashish. Girish, your final note?
Yeah, I would say the sustainability, we should not see in absolute terms of financial sustainability. There should be some trade-off between sustainability and the impact. But in other words, we should evaluate the performance of incubators first on the basis of the contribution to the development of the startups. And only afterwards, we should see the financial stability of the incubator.
Shadab, you want to add something?
Yeah, one point that actually is bothering me since I read the document in its entirety. And we are talking about sustainability at the same time, because this particular scheme is not aimed at sustainability, because it is saying that whatever profit that is going to accrue at the end of the scheme has to be given back to DPI. Now one of the, for example, you know it already that DTT scheme in fact encourages us that we are able to make capital gains and use that capital gain back into the system, so that whether we want to use it for the corpus to be invested back into these startups or towards the administrative expenses, there is no restriction on that. But this specific scheme in a way is saying that if you are deploying it back after the end of the period, whatever amount is lying with you along with the profits has to be given back. That I think is a lacuna in the scheme. Perhaps at some stage this might be corrected. But honestly speaking, for any startup, for any incubator, the biggest holy grail, so to say, is to find that 1-star performer in your entire journey of maybe 5-year, 10-year. One great success story is going to completely change the game, because it is going to wipe off whatever you have spent, all the expenses that you have done, plus it is going to give you a great corpus to maybe run for another 10 years. It will give you a runway for 10 years, using the jargon of the startup ecosystem, right? Now, unless these incubators have this flexibility to use the benefit of their labor, then we are missing the point. Okay, then we are going to live year to year, utilization certificate to utilization certificate, chasing the files and waiting for the grant to come, waiting for the CSR fund to come. Honestly, Ashish ji has already touched upon that. The traction that should have come towards allocating funds towards incubators, so far as CSR is concerned, has not happened, right? Maybe the concerted effort, maybe the lobbying has not been done. We can reach out to the policymakers, the DT department, that as a government, they should raise this issue with the corporates and say and urge them that why don't you spend your CSR funding, so that some burden and some continuity is brought into the system. Unless that happens, we are missing the big picture. That is
well said, Shadab. Well said, Shadab. So Shadab, it was really a wonderful session. Both the sessions were wonderful. We got a lot of information from all of you. Unfortunately, we could not have Dheeraj and Dinesh with us because of some COVID tragedy at their homes. And in between also, Rahul Pandey had to leave because of some emergency situation. So sorry for them. And we all are praying from God for the most and quick recovery of their family and family members. With these words, so first of all, I am thankful to DK Gupta ji. DK Gupta ji, in this particular tough time, you have given us so much your precious time. We are really glad to hear from you. We are looking forward from DSIIDC and also from the government of Delhi to get maximum support, and we are expecting that also, so that we can also cater at the same time maximum number of startups in the region of Delhi. And I am also thankful to Shadab, you, Ashish, Girish ji. It is our first virtual interaction with you. And Bhupesh ji, as usually, you are always there as a friend to all the incubation centers which are supported by Delhi government. Thanks to all of you. And in the last, actually, I am also thankful to all of the participants. And the feedback link has been shared by Rahul in the chat box. You can please fill it, and automatically you will be getting a certificate of participation for this particular panel discussion. Our next event is going to happen on 27th of this month, where we are going to involve 8 private universities and colleges with whom we have already signed MOUs in the last month. So thanks to all, thanks to you. If you still have some questions, feel free to contact Anveshan. We will pass your questions to the concerned and respective experts. Thanks to all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.